सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om. So we saw in the last session that Pujya Gurudev went to Sri Swami Tapovanji Maharaj in Uttarakashi and learnt Panchadashi and many Upanishads with Shankar Bhashya from Sri Swami Tapovanji Maharaj. We also saw how tough the life was in that place, but still, not just facing all those situations, but studying in such situations and getting the knowledge. That's what Pujya Gurudev did. Now we will continue. So we have Pujya Gurudev's two gurus. One is Diksha Guru, Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj, who gave him Sannyasa Diksha, and another is Sri Swami Tapovanji Maharaj, who is a Vidya Guru, who gave him knowledge. Pujya Gurudev always regarded both his gurus very high. So high that many times he will not speak about them, because he will feel that talking about them is too low. That level his gurus are. But in some occasions, some rare occasions, when somebody asks something or some situation arises, something happens, then his inner feelings would come out. And through that we come to know how much he admired, he loved, he respected his gurus. One such statement that is given by one devotee who heard from Gurudev is that Gurudev told that it was Swami Shivanandaji who took me to that supreme state, and it was Swami Tapovanji Maharaj who pushed me into beyond. Poetic is his way of, his way, that is Gurudev's way. So that much love was there, and we also see through some letters that he has written, when he came to know about Mahasamadhi of both these great Mahatmas. We saw Swami Tapovanji Maharaj attend Mahasamadhi, then later on Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj also attend Mahasamadhi. In both those occasions, Gurudev's feelings, speak 1,000 words. In one letter he writes, he says that when Tapovanji Maharaj's Mahasamadhi happened, when he came to know about it, he was taking one session somewhere, and he writes that I suddenly feel that I have become an orphan physically, but spiritually I have grown in my strength and power today. Why? Because he means Swami Tapovanji Maharaj, has left his particular form, but he now lives in each one of us. Let us nurture and nourish him and bring him out through each one of us. He also took Mahavrata. Gurudev, when he came to know about Mahasamadhi of Tapovanji Maharaj as well as Shivanandaji Maharaj, he took Mahavrata. He will do lots of tapas for 1 year, and that day, so for example 16th January was the day when Tapovanji Maharaj took Mahasamadhi. So 16th of every month for 1 year, and every 16th January every year he will take up Upvasa and so many other vratas. And he used to say that these are the days which should be observed like this. The Mahasamadhi of Mahatmas should be observed like this. Why? Because what they taught us, that's what we should practice. Their greatest legacy is their teaching. And if we can remember those teaching, and if we can try to bring that teaching in our life, that will be the greatest tribute to these great Mahatmas. So he used to not only encourage others to do that, but he himself used to do this. So, in Vedantic terms, we have so far seen the entire path of spirituality, actually speaking. It starts with Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. We saw how Pujya Gurudev attained Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi Shat Sampatti, Mumukshutva through different stages. Then he took sannyasa, he approached Guru Upasadana, he approached a Mahatma, surrendered unto him and learnt Shravana, learnt Upanishads, Manana, he reflected upon them, Nididhyasana, meditated upon them, and the outcome is always Jnana. That Atma Jnana has to rise. I am not going to go in too much of details because the fact according to Vedanta is a state of a Jnani. The state of a Jnani cannot be explained. And all the ignorant people like me, some of you also maybe, all of us can never understand that state of a Jnani. And therefore, many times these questions, are thrown at us that was Gurudev realized? Have you met realized master? How are they? Etc. etc. See, the fact is, we can't recognize the realized master because only a realized master can recognize another realized master. Only Jnani can recognize another Jnani. I am Ajnani, so I don't know. But we can see the Lakshana, we can see their nature, the way they speak, the way they are in their life, and we can only make a guess. One such guess that can happen is through a letter written by Pujya Gurudev. I am sure not many of you will know about this. On Vijayadashmi day in 1950, 20th October 1950, he explains about early morning unspeakable experience that he had. He is not telling too much about that experience, but he is telling to someone in a letter that early morning Brahma Muhurta time, 4 o'clock, etc., I had an unexplicable experience. I cannot express it. And that for me is the Jnanodaya. That was the time when Pujya Gurudev got that self-knowledge. He realized. How do you know that? I told you it's a guess. You can't be sure about it, but that's what I feel. The sadhana that has happened in such a long time, not just in this birth, but in so many other births, now results in this self-knowledge. And that's what must have probably happened with Pujya Gurudev, because it is quite evident from what happened later on, right? So that Jnanodaya happened. That was the, what we can say as the culmination of all his sadhanas. Now that one has gained that knowledge, now what happens? Now an irresistible force works through you. Pujya Gurudev often used to say that Narayana speaks through me. Many times when towards the later years, when Pujya Gurudev's health, physical health was not that good, doctor had told him that your heart is working only 20%. So how heart usually should function, not brain, okay? Heart. Our brain already works some 5%, etc. That itself is sufficient. Heart is working fine, therefore we are all talking, walking and doing our things. Gurudev's pumping heart was working 20%. So doctor had told that you can only speak for 20 minutes in a day. And Gurudev used to give 1 hour lecture in the morning, 1 hour lecture in the evening. So many people used to feel, why are you doing so much? So Gurudev, once in Siddhabari, so he would come, and once he is on stage, you can't believe that this person is not well. But the moment class is over, somebody else has to take the wheelchair. Swami Subodhananji used to do that many times, and he used to put oxygen cylinder, oxygen mask immediately right next to the stage. So somebody asked him, why do you take 2 classes if doctor had told you to take only 1 class of 20 minutes? So he said, Narayana wants to speak, what can I do? How can I stop him? He will do whatever he feels is right. So when that instrument of yours, the body, mind, intellect instrument of yours becomes absolutely pure, and that self-knowledge happens, then our body, mind, intellect becomes an instrument for God to function. And that's what happened with Pujya Gurudev also. Now that he has done so much of sadhana, he has purified his instrument and has realized, then what happens? Now the will of God starts to function. And that's what in Gurudev's word himself is called as Gangotri plan. You see here, the Gangotri plan. What do you mean by Gangotri plan? So one day what happened when he was in Gangotri studying under Swami Taponji Maharaj. So even now if you go, there is a temple. Gangotri temple is there. Right next to that you have to come steps down and there is Gangaji. And on that side of the river, there is a small bridge you have to cross. And on that side of the river is Taponji's ashram. Tapon Kuti was there. So there is that, from the Tapon Kuti, there is a slope that comes. Those Mahatmas staying there called that slope as Fakiristan. Fakiristan means the place of fakirs. Fakirs means beggars, actually beggars, but what it means is wise people. The place of wise, that's what they call. So there, those Mahatmas, whoever was there, and students who are studying used to sit and have discussions for many hours. Gurudev writes also, you know, how much he learned from those discussions, etc. One afternoon, Gurudev was sitting just right next to that on a huge boulder, on a huge rock, right next to Gangaji. And he was just sitting there and suddenly an inspiration came to him, a moment of inspiration. Gurudev later on will call this as an afternoon dream. It was an afternoon dream which took me to more than 500 cities, to more than 50,000 people, like that he will say. So he was sitting there on Gangaji's just banks and Gangaji is flowing there, and a moment of inspiration happened. He thought that Gangaji is talking to him, and what was he saying? You see, I am also born in Himalayas, but I don't stay in Himalayas. I come down to the plains where people are there so that my water can reach them and they can be nourished. Why don't you do also same? Now you have come here to Himalayas, you have learnt the knowledge of Vedanta, the self-knowledge. Now it is your duty to go to the plains and give this knowledge. Jnana Ganga has to flow. Right? Then only that knowledge will be of some use. Now it is useful to you. Why don't you spread it to others also? Now that moment of inspiration changed Gurudev's life. Why? Because then he decided that this knowledge that I gained through such a hardship, it is not possible for everybody to come to Uttarkashi and stay in the situation that he stayed in and gain the knowledge. See, he was a very, intelligent person, very steadfast, and therefore he could do it. We have seen how strict Taponji Maharaj was, how difficult situation was. We would have ran away. Probably we would not have reached only till that place. So he understood that everybody may not be able to do this. So he expressed his ideas to Shivananji and Taponji Maharaj, that this is what I feel. I want to take this knowledge of scriptures to the plains, to the masses. I want to go to different places, not only in India but abroad also, and give this knowledge. So when they heard about this, they gave one suggestion. First was what? The suggestion was, you first go and do a tour, do a parikrama, Bharata parikrama. You go to all India tour. You visit the places. And then you will know whether you are ready or not. So actually, Pujya Gurudev did two Bharata parikrama. 2 times he went across India. But second time when he was supposed to go, this is what Taponji Maharaj said, that Guru's suggestion to take a trip to the plains, wander as a renunciate and live as a beggar. You live among the people that you want to teach. You understand their things. But what Taponji Maharaj wanted him to know is what he says. This will rub out your ego. See, we are nicely, comfortably sitting here in AC room. Everything is taken care of. We have no idea of the world outside. once Swamiji also, Swami Sharadanji was once, I was talking to Swamiji and he said one very hard-hitting thing that, really made me think. He said the day you are roaming in different parts of India with 0 rupees in your pocket, that is the day you start learning. All other times you are filled with money, so you don't care, you have this, you have that. That is not, you go like that, then you will know what it is. So, Taponji Maharaj also wanted Gurudev to go through this. He says, to have the experience of the divine is not enough. Means he had experience of divine, you see. That's why I am saying, these are some of the indications from which we can come to know. You must be able to keep that vision through all your activities. So, you go for a yatra. So, first All India tour was taken by Pujya Gurudev on Swami Shivanandaji's instructions from December 1949 to April 1950. Right? Here, this was the trip when he came to Kerala also and he stayed with his family. I had told you 1 or 2 incidences, where he used to stay in veranda and some household work he used to do. And this was also the time when he took some sessions, some satsangs in Calicut, etc. And his father heard him talking. And he his father wrote to Swami Shivanandaji of how delighted he was seeing his son, who has learned so much from Shivanandaji. Right? Second All India tour, Pujya Gurudev took on Swami Taponji's instructions. When Taponji told him this, that this is why you should do the Bharat Parikrama again. So, he again took All India tour from August to October of 1951. This is the time when he met some people also and his plan actually started to come to actualization. So, anyways, we will be seeing one short video on that. But the first Jnana Yajna was planned. First Jnana Yajna. Jnana Yajna means what? You see, this Yajna word is very popular. Yajna, when I say Yajna, what comes to your mind? First thing that comes to your mind is, there will be some fire will be there and you are putting ahuti. Isn't it? But you see that Jnana Yajna word has become so popular in Chinmay Mission. You go to Chinmay Mission and tell them that there is a Yajna, they will immediately connect it to talks. Yajna is there means talks are there. So that word was made popular by Gurudev only, and he coined that word. How it comes in Srimad Bhagavad Gita also, and where what he used to say is that just as in Yajna, many people come together and they offer certain things and the result is for all. Pujya Gurudev himself used to define Yajna as selfless, selfless collective endeavor. That's what he used to call. When many people come together with a selfless goal, not for selfish goal, but for selfless goal, and together they take up a task, that itself is called as Yajna. That is Gurudev's definition of Yajna in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But here it is not just Yajna, it is Jnana Yajna. What do you mean by Jnana Yajna? The fire is that of knowledge. And in that fire of knowledge, you put your vasanas, you put your ego, and they will be burnt away in that fire of knowledge. So, Jnana Yajna was actually a talk series. Upanishad Jnana Yajna means talks on Upanishads. Bhagavad Gita Jnana Yajna means talks on Bhagavad Gita. So, that's what he started doing. And the first Jnana Yajna was planned from 1st of December 1951, went on for 120 days till 8th April 1952. Okay? And it happened in Vinayaka temple of Harihara Bhakta Samaj, Harihara Bhajan Samaj in Rastapet. See, now we will see one short, before that, let us see how Pujya Gurudev, when he planned to do this Yajna, this Jnana Yajna, what was his feelings? So, his prayers can be clearly seen. From that only you will come to know what exactly he was. What was his purpose behind it, and how much reverence he had for his gurus. when he was taking up such a big task. You see, you don't have an organization. Okay, now situation is different. At that time, there was no organization. One Swami wants to take up yajna, 100 days, people have to feed him in 1950s, right? Unknown people, and he took first yajna in Pune, where Gurudev didn't know many people. But that was the, what we say as guts that Gurudev had. But before he did that, he prayed. What does he say? See, you have poured, now he is writing to his Guru, Tapovanji and Shivananji. What is he saying? You have poured sweet nectar into my cup and kept it overflowing. I drank my fill and had more than my share. I have become silent, quiet, bursting with joy. Blissful Master, now lead me on and teach me how to share this bliss with others. See, clarity. Whatever I have got is what you have given me. So it is not my own, number one. Number two, I have got doesn't mean I should keep it with me. I have to share it with others. But while sharing, what should be my attitude? My attitude should be that this is what has come in parampara. It is by their grace that the knowledge can be passed on. In another place, in a pamphlet, he writes, Chinmaya's work is dedicated to whom all? Number one, the Shrutis, the scriptures, that told me what reality is. Number two, to Sri Swami Tapovanji Maharaj of Uttarkashi, who guided me to the end and pushed me into the beyond. And to Sadgurudev, Sri Swami Shivananji Maharaj of Rishikesh, who showed me in his life how to live and act in God and as God. See his attitude of reverence. Now, when such prayer is there, Gurudev's one name in the Ashtottara that we say is Satya Sankalpaya Namaha. Satya Sankalpaya Namaha means what? Whatever sankalpa, whatever thought comes to his mind becomes a reality. Satya Sankalpaya Namaha also means only those thoughts come to his mind which are good. So that's what happened. And when prayer comes from the student, obviously the blessings from Guru flow. So here we see Swami Shivananji Maharaj blessing Pujya Gurudev. He says, Sri Swami Chinmayananda Uttarkashi. This you see the date written, 14th of October 1951. This is after Pujya Gurudev completed his All India tour and just before the Yajna started. When he started planning for it, that is when the letter was written. And he says, Glorious immortal self, salutations and adorations. Om Namo Narayanaya. Thy kind letter. It is a grand idea. Spread of the message of the Upanishads is the need of the hour. You will be doing the greatest service to the Lord's children by taking to their very doors the sublimest of wisdom. The rishis will shower their blessings upon you. The Lord's grace will enable you to attain success in this divine undertaking. May God bless you with health, long life, peace, prosperity and Kaivalya Moksha. Thy own self, Shivananda. So Shivananji's blessings on when he told that this is what I am planning. And see, many times I have heard from many people that Tapovanji Maharaj was not very happy that Gurudev wanted to come down and take sessions on Vedanta. They say that Tapovanji Maharaj told him not to go, but that's not really true. What happened was Tapovanji felt for Gurudev, because he was a dear student, you can imagine. He cared for him. He said that, oh, this Pavam person will go in the world trying to teach Vedanta, but we know about people, they don't want to learn Vedanta. Even if free knowledge is being given, the highest knowledge is given for free, still they don't want. Free classes happening here, people don't want to come. You can't do anything. So he may get disheartened. He may feel. That's why Tapovanji Maharaj was little protective about him. Not that he didn't want him to go, because it is very clear from the messages that he gave. This is the letter that is written by Taponji Maharaj to Gurudev. He writes, so on top is Taponji Maharaj's handwriting, so I am just typed it for easy understanding. He says, I hope, now this is for next yajna, not that Jnana Yajna, but later on. He says, I hope that the Delhi people will be highly benefited by this Jnana Yajna ceremony being conducted by Sri Chinmayanandji. May God bless you all for the successful termination of the Jnana Yajna and also for the successful practice of the knowledge which you attain from it. In another place, he also gave blessings. Taponji gave blessings to everybody. He says, may you reach that eternal state of perfection and divinity in this very birth. May the blessings of the Upanishad Rishis be upon you all. So, it was very clear that both his gurus, Swami Shivananda and Taponji Maharaj, gave their blessings to Pujya Gurudev. Now, the journey begins. And see, journey, now when we look back, we feel that it was a glorious journey, but it had its own tough situations, So, there is a small clip that is published by Chinmaya Archives. We'll see that clip. That clip is about the first Jnana Yajna. Right? Everything about the first Jnana Yajna, how he planned, whom he met. And you see here, you observe here the amount of enthusiasm that Gurudev has and the amount of perfection that he wants in everything. He did everything. Found people, wrote letters to people, advertising, publicizing it, kept inspiring the team. So when I used to often ask to Swamiji, Swami Purushottomananda, I used to go and ask that, Swamiji, what you say, I was a child at that time in 5th standard, 6th standard maybe. So I used to go to Swamiji and I used to say, Swamiji, whatever you tell in the class, that is the same thing I tell my mother. Why? Because she also is like that, and but she doesn't listen to me. And the same thing when you tell, she listens. Swamiji laughed. A small boy talking. Swamiji laughed, and everybody is there, Some of them felt, oh, how, arrogant boy, talking to Swamiji like this. I never felt anything. Swamiji, I can talk anything. Some people, felt little, they feel, so nice, such a nice boy talking. Swamiji laughed, but he gave a very beautiful answer. He said that the words get power because of the sadhanas that you do. If you don't do sadhana, then your word will have no power. Therefore, if you think that you are telling something and somebody is not listening, it is not their fault. It is your fault. When Pujya Gurudev used to say, plan out your work and work out your plan. Why it worked for so many people? Because he used to do it. It was not just, one quote. No, he did that. And therefore, when he said it, it meant something for people. Right? So, please focus on that aspect of Gurudev also, which comes very evidently in this. Let us see now this short video.
The story behind the first Jnana Yajna. Encouraging the brahmacharis entering the field of prachar work to spread the message of our scriptures, Pujya Gurudev would say, in my first Jnana Yajna in Pune, there were only 4 people including the speaker. No one knew at the time how much effort and preparation had gone into the organization of the first Yajna in the Ganesh temple in Rastapet, Pune. It was only when Swamini Kaivalyananda unearthed the letters to Sri Seshadri, who helped in organizing that first Yajna, that the micro details behind that historic event tumbled out. A souvenir named Hail Renaissance was released to mark the 25th Jnana Yajna in Hyderabad in December 1956. There, Pujya Gurudev wrote about the story of the birth and growth of the Jnana Yagya in an article titled The Genesis. This article gives us very important information about how it all happened in his own words. Swami Swarupananda Ji reads,
It was an afternoon dream that has taken me to more than 100 cities in India and to address up till now about 50,000 devotees in the 25 Gyan Yagyas. I was then in Gangotri, serving and living with my Gurudev, Sri Swami Tapovanji Maharaj. After the direct study of the Upanishads, in the summer of 1951, when I was joyously living the life of Sri Sat Guru Seva in the sacred Gangotri, this yajna idea dawned on me all of a sudden. With merely a 4-ana paisa, I landed in Pune to conduct a 100-day yajna. The session was inaugurated by Sri Swami Chinmayananda of Uttarkashi himself in the Vinayak temple at Rastapet, since no one else will do it.
The plans crystallize. Pujya Gurudev had gone on an all India tour from December 1950 to April 1951, at which time he had visited Pune and met Seshadri, the young Madrasi boy he mentions in the Genesis. Having already obtained the permission of his Guru Swami Tapovan Maharaj, he proceeded to plan the first Jnana Yagya in Pune. In a letter dated October 1st, 1951, written from Uttarkashi, he follows up his discussions with Seshadri regarding the finances and publicity of the Yagya. He has also taken into account the cost of converting the talks into small booklets and posting them to people, showing meticulous planning and an eye for details. He wrote to Swami Shivananda about his plans and received his blessings for this historic endeavor. He arranged for printing notices and sent a block of his own image to Seshadri for printing. He wrote personal letters to 100 people enlisting their support. Letters were too slow to keep pace with the amazing speed of the Swami at work. A new telegraph office had opened in Uttarkashi, and he sent a telegram to Seshadri from there. He had published a notice about the Yagya in a newspaper and had the pamphlets with details of the Yagya program all ready to be posted. And yet, no news from Seshadri about the progress of the arrangements in Pune. So, he wrote on October 30th, 1951, inspiring him to march ahead. Even the mightiest mountain is crossed step by step. Only be careful and earnest about each step, he would write. At last, Seshadri's reply reached the Swami. Immediately he wrote back, appreciating the devotee's commitment to do anything. What Chinmaya wants is an Arjun. That letter spills over with his boundless enthusiasm and positive energy, his immense self-confidence and total surrender to God's will. Dear Seshadri, ours is this field. It is rarely people understand what is selfless work. We shall give them, in our pure action and glorious success, an illustration of the Gita's crux. Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Kubera is our treasurer, Sri Lakshmi our secretary, and Lord of all Aishwarya, our master. Worry not. And at the same time, he does not lose sight of the details and gives a volley of instructions to Seshadri. Seshadri must have wondered what he had let himself in for. He voiced his misgivings. Here, people are discouraging me to venture on this. People had said, it'll be very difficult to keep a sadhu for 100 days. Gurudev wrote back, lashing at the sheer cowardice of Hindus who pay only lip service to religion. We are seasoned workers. Even under any wayside tree we can sleep. Any old temple ruin is place comfortable enough for us. And as to our food, we are not rajas, but bhikshus at eating. Dismissing his worries and brushing aside all the difficulties, he asserted, money is not everything. It is not money that accomplishes. Lord is the Supreme. He is the accomplisher. His grace is gold and silver. By that time, he had contacted 800 persons already in India and abroad. By November 24th, Pujya Gurudev had reached Delhi and was personally contacting people for support. A new hurdle was that the Swami with shorthand and typing skills, who was to accompany him to Pune, became sick and opted out. Gurudev wrote to Seshadri, someone else will come then. Everything as he wills. He is our bank, money, worker, helper, patron. All to us must be he. He also wrote personal letters to the editors of Pune newspapers, each one different and personalized. Pujya Gurudev had also prepared a detailed booklet to guide the participants in the Jnana Yajna. Published in this booklet was an intensely poetic and mystic outpouring, an open letter addressed to all seekers. Beloved seeker, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I know no Sanskrit, I know no Hindi, I know no language to express what I know. In brief, I know that I know not how to make you know what I know. I know that I know not, yet I know what I know. My gurus know that I know, but I know not how to make you know what my gurus know. And he continues, in short, unless you are ready to take a plunge into your own within and move up beyond the mind and the intellect to the very source of all light, power and wisdom, I know not how to make you know what I know. On December 4th, 1951, Gurudev wrote to Seshadri that he would arrive in Pune on the 20th. The public meeting may be arranged for Sunday the 23rd. The subject for the public meeting may be announced as Let Us Be Hindus. Since there was no venue booked for the Yajna, he wrote, the place chosen must be good, as Chinmaya has full faith in your choice and selection. If you like, choose for the Yajna the slum area. There is no harm. It is not the greatness of the place that adds glory to the Yajna or the Satsang. It is just the opposite. The spot where divine karmas are performed becomes glorious and in time a pilgrim center. He ends with more news in the next. Chinmaya is at work now for 18 hours a day. Other letters followed, giving instructions about many details. On December 11th, he wrote, we shall succeed always when the Yajna is his. He is the Yajaman, he the Ahuti, his the merit, his the success, and we but his instruments only. On the 19th, with barely 10 days to go for the Yajna, Seshadri wrote to him, I have not yet succeeded in getting a place for performing this Yajna. Everything was set for the Yajna except the venue. I'm sure everything will end well by the grace of God. wrote Seshadri calmly. He had learned a lesson or two in this whole process. We do not have any more letters after this to tell us how it was settled finally, but here ends the story of how Gurudev organized the first Jnana Yajna with the help of a sole Madrasi boy in Pune.
So you see, to organize one program is not that easy. Now it may be because we have everything. But you see, so much Pujya Gurudev had done. We should show it to our camp coordinator, digital media team, marketing team. See, he himself used to write 800 letters, personal contacts. See the planning, he took the shorthand typist, wanted to take from Delhi, so that it is everyday session will be typed and will be given to people on the next day. You see here, this is from the first Yajna. In 1950, with the kind of what we say technology available at that time, every session used to be typed, not on computer of course, on the typewriter, and then used to be printed and given to the public who are coming on the next day. So this is the place where that first Jnana Yajna started, Harihar Bhajan Samaj, Rastapet Ganapati Temple. And what Gurudev said came true. It is not the place that gives glory to the work, but because of the work, the place becomes a pilgrimage center. Today, you go to this Rastapet Ganapati Temple, it is not with Chinmay Mission, it is their temple. But maximum people come there because Gurudev started entire Chinmaya movement from this place. So now that place has become a pilgrim center. And if you go, you can't believe such a short road is there now that leads to this temple, and in front of the temple nothing is there. The houses etc. are there, and this much only is the road. Even now it is like that. But it became a pilgrimage center. Why? Because great work started there. So you see how Gurudev's vision was grand even at that time. When he wanted to do something, how much planning went through, right? So though we don't know how finally Seshadriji landed up with this place or the typist to publish everything, but it got published. And even on the last day, all the 100 days talks were put together and a book, Yajna Prasad, was given to all. And what started as 4 people ended up with 1,000 people in same 100 days. I had a good fortune of meeting one great devotee of Gurudev who was there in the first Yajna as a 16-year-old boy. He is no more now. I met him. He is from my place, from where I come from. So this Rastapet Ganesh temple is not very far from our place, around 1 hour. And he used to stay in that area at that time. And he remembers, that they used to go there as children. They used to go there, run there to take prasad at the end. But slowly somebody told them, no, you come tomorrow early so that you can listen. And then they slowly started coming, and how the strength kept growing. So that is how Gurudev's grand vision was, right? So this is the story of the first Jnana Yajna, which started on 1st of December 1951. Last time we had seen once, the first talk that he took was on 23rd of December. Did I say 1st December? No, 31st December. On 23rd December, he took one talk called Let Us Be Hindus. And from 31st, he started the first Jnana Yajna. 100 days Yajna on Kena Upanishad. It is written somewhere. Here, Kena Upanishad. Right? So that was the first Jnana Yajna that happened. Then what happened? The Jnana Yajnas continued. Right? Some more things are there which we will see in the next class. We'll conclude. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.